Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, we're picking up on part two of the use of the proper film technology to use with your Scalarionic machine, your Scalar Radionic machine. That's very important because you want to be using energies that the machine can handle. And the machines are built to work on a particular type of energy, an energy that I'm 100% aware of, while everybody else think they're working in the electromagnetic, which is just nonsense. These are scalar, meaning non-electromagnetic, to just kind of give it a simple explanation. And this is very important to understand because if you're going to make a machine or use the energies, you have to know what energies you're using. And none of the manufacturers are using any machines that pick up scalar energy. Just as simple as that. They're all junk. They're all very primitive, virtually kindergarten level, or actually preschool. And then you have some of the boobs that want to make it electronic and want to use chips and other things. Well, chips don't pick up scalar energies. So you're working again in a very weak realm of reality. And of course, anytime you fall out of using energies, you fall back into the completely psychic realm. And basically, radionic units have been and still are nothing more than psychic tuners, whether they're semi-computerized or not. And again, if you're using digital computerization, you're not using any energy fields except the psychic field again, because you can't project out these ridiculous, basically digital energies that you're trying to do. Now, when you get back, of course, as we mentioned, when you get into music, where everything is about sound and radiance, this is scalar energies that we can demonstrate to people at its highest level. And anybody who really knows music and can tell the difference between a digital program and basically an analog resonant program using very advanced tech. And people think that tubes somehow are primitive because they're older. Well, it's not true. And everybody's getting back into tubes because they are so efficient and pick up a wide range of resonance. So everybody's getting back into it, including all your computer manufacturers who have reached the level of transferring information. The only way you can transfer large data banks of information is through the use of tubes or photons, otherwise known as lasers. So, for some reason, people are moving away from lasers and they're moving back into tubes that they have made much smaller and more efficient. This is all part of the process as well. So this has all changed, and of course, the people in music have always known this, and they do. Now, one of the things you use in a really fine stereo system is they use things that change any digital information coming in into analog so that your system can use it to its highest, most vibrational good. Did you just get that? Maybe you should stop and go back and listen to that again. They don't put in things that digitalize things further. They want to remove the digitalization so they can get that and change the information coming into that musical system into analog. Isn't that interesting? So that's called a decoder. So, of course, guess who uses that with their scalar machines? Oh, Dr. Thor, you're such a genius. You do that too? Yeah, of course we do. You're not going to find that from these other computer science guys, government clones, government traitors, disinformation addicts, or the high school gym teachers who run organizations, etc. Or some old biddies that have been around for 60 years that are too busy sipping tea to make any kind of advancements. So the whole idea is that we have serious problems since the technology has been ignored because the people involved in this field have no technical ability whatsoever. Or they try and bring in another boob. I'm an electrical engineer. Me make a computer program. So the whole idea is that, what does that have to do with this kind of energy? Well, that's electronics. It is? Well, that's your electronics, but we're not dealing with electronics. We're not running, we're not processing, regular data. These things are not word processing. They're not storage, basically file cabinets, which is what computers are. And of course, they're running data, word processors, etc. This is what most computers do. Of course, you're picking up information, which is a glorified television when you go on the internet and other things. But the bottom line is that's not, those are very common energetic uses. When we're dealing with something that's totally out of that realm, these people are lost. And to go to an engineer is a real problem. One of the problems with learning anything, especially if you have to pass tests and get a degree in something, is what happens. You become brainwashed. You have to believe in what they're telling you and repeat it if you're going to get that little certificate, the officialization of your stupidity. You're an official moron here. It says right on here in the certificate. You have a degree in stupidity. And all the people in the stupid colleges agree with it. So they're putting their name on it. Stupid breeds stupid. So this is what we run into. And of course, there's always a place for the common inane. There's always a place for blue jeans instead of a fine fabric. It's because, there are times you want to wear blue jeans. Maybe you want to clean your attic out. Maybe you want to mow the lawn. You want to do that with fine fabric? That's kind of ridiculous. So there's always a place for this, and there's always a lower purpose to do. And these are lower purpose people. They all have very low mentalities. As I said, high school gym teacher. He's an expert in psychotronics. Woo! So we really can understand that. So we have to understand that. So all the things that go into this are very important to understand. So there are certain energies. So there's a resonance. And let's first that we want to try and capture that resonance. But that resonance that has to be used in a transmutated machine. Now, one of the things, and I'm going to be making many different videos on tubes. Let's get back to the material that we're talking about in photographs. Now, when you have a photograph of something, actual... I'm changing stuff around. Let's see if I can find a Polaroid. Now I cut this Polaroid down. You can see Fuji Instax. This is the Polaroid process, and you always tell the Polaroid process. As I said, this is cut down. These are usually the size of like a business card. That's your traditional size coming from Fuji. Now, because of the love of the Polaroid, it's amazing how these things continue even when we have so many other things. Fuji itself has come out with many different cameras. They have huge pictures that I believe are 6x4. You need a special camera. The original Polaroids have come back. They're copied the original Polaroids from the late 70s, and now they are making them, and they're for sale. And one good thing about this technology in general is even these new cameras that are coming out are still priced fairly. You can get a Fuji camera, which is right here. This is a Instax Mini 8, and that's what they call them. This looks more like a camera. They have different types, and they have different lenses. I mean, you can spend a lot of money, but this camera costs about $80 in your typical stores, your Amazonians, your eBays, or wherever else you can get them. I'll get into that in a minute of the best way to buy a camera as well. But they're using the traditional Polaroid method. You must use that. You do not use crystalline. You don't use something else that's similar. Yes, the quality of the picture is better, but every step that you move away from this is that you are eliminating the informational energetic field in it. And that's what all matter is made out of. So you must be very careful to make sure you're getting it. And they all look like this. They have this black in the back. This is underneath here is where the developer is. So the light comes in from the lens. It goes into the picture. And it goes into the developer. The developer develops that picture, the energy, and the energy coming from the light beam comes into here, and it stays in here. It stays in the developer, and this is the key to why this works. Digital doesn't save anything. So people that say digital work, it doesn't work. What you've done when you're getting information or using a pendulum or whatever on a digital picture, you are back into the psychic. Now, we're trying to stay away from the psychic and the undefined areas. We're trying to get as much into the energetic as possible that isn't dependent on our own consciousness. That's why we use machines to project energy and so forth. We want to sustain it for long periods of time, and we don't want to keep everything in the psychic realm. Now, the bottom line is that most people are psychologically, are psychically highly retarded. And I use that deliberately to use a strong word. They're not impaired, they're retarded. You've been taught to follow the one in front of you and to not to believe in any of these things that are consciousness based. Matter of fact, boobs in science, the theoretical, argue what consciousness is. They can't even figure out that. And they want to make egotistical statements that you need to have a vertebrae or something else to be conscious. And so this couldn't be further from the truth. And again, that's what happens when you deal with only the physical. And of course, they've gotten us a long way. Really? Yeah. Yeah, they've gotten us into the place of doom with their lies and deceit. So we have to really understand that as a people in general. So this holds information in the chemicals and it's there. So the energy that you took a picture of, which you bounced the light with, the photons off, the photons picked up the energy, brings it back into the camera, and then puts it into the film where it stays. Digital does not do that. I just went through all of it. So the point is, digital pictures do not work. What you're doing with digital pictures is that what they do is they eliminate all the energy. You are connecting to a psychic realm again. That's why you're able to get information out of a regular photograph. And it doesn't matter how dense the photograph, how well it's been handled in its preparation of developing. That does nothing. The developer and the process that you do in regular film, 35 millimeter, is eliminating the energy. And all these other processes do the same thing. There are several Instack type processes. As I said, there's a liquid crystal one that came out, which I thought had some promise. I did test that. And of course, it didn't work. I've actually thrown that camera away. I don't even keep it. Why am I going to keep it? There's no reason to do it. But the crystal film they have out there is not good. It doesn't hold energy. We're talking about holding energy here. We're not talking about quality of picture again. I've repeated that many times because people don't get it. I hope you get it. We're talking about this is energy photography. This ain't picture photography. You want pictures? Use a 35 millimeter or your camera or whatever it is in your cell phone. And then you can then move that to your computer and print it out and have all these phases. So you're losing energy the minute it goes in digital. You're losing it when you transfer it to your computer, and you're losing more energy when you transfer it onto paper. Meaning you're not losing, there's nothing left. So we have to understand that, and this should be understandable to pretty much anybody. I mean, this shouldn't be something that is confusing. Now, you need that if you're starting. So if you want to analyze, and it's just not just people. So if you want to figure out what the energy fields of something are, and you can take a picture of an area. If you wanted to get the energy of the sky above you because you wanted to make actual changes in the weather, well, you take a picture of the sky above you. It's capturing that energy that you are going to try and manipulate. If you're going to a place that has a lot of spiritual power, vortexes, other places, well, take a picture of it. You're capturing the energy of that particular vortex. And of course, you can do this with animals and humans and everything else where you're catching their actually energy form, which means you have a print of the essence of that. When you take a Polaroid picture of a person or an animal or the sky, you're capturing the energetic form of that, which is now able to be analyzed better. Just think of the power of that. So, what was really just a fun little gimmick that made Polaroid very wealthy turned into the fact of being this amazing. And of course, what's interesting is the amazing rebirth of Polaroids. And of course, Polaroid didn't keep up with the digital because, by the way, Polaroid, or I believe it was a Kodak or Polaroid, I'm not sure which one of them, actually invented the digital. And they threw it away because they said, nobody wants this. People want film. They don't want this computerized garbage. Yeah, another, of course, American invention that the world uses and abuses, and America gets what? They get the poo off the bottom of your shoe, because that's what most people think of and treat Americans. So the whole idea is that that's the reality of it all. So we have a real problem here when you have to think energetically. But, if you're going to follow people with the lowest possible mentality, as I've already discussed in this, who are involved in all sorts of strange things, who have no idea what energy is, have not done the research. I am the official expert in the world. I've been doing this for 45 years. Basically, I've been doing serious research for 55 years in all of the similar type areas. I've manufactured instruments. I've sold it. I have the only store in the planet ever to have a radionic store. I'm the only one to do it for 3 years in Palm Springs, California. The only one. I'm the author of 35 books, 5 courses. I've been on BBC and CNN in different areas. But the bottom line is that and of course, this was many years ago. So there's no doubt about it. But of course, the evil forces out there have tried to minimize my presence as they do on YouTube right now. Yet everybody's aware of my videos, but apparently nobody seems to. The numbers aren't there because they're being messed with. But whatever, I don't really care. My tech is for a select few. You want to follow the losers because their whole idea is to give you disinformation and to make sure you fail. That's why they're out there. That's why. And it even went so far as that they wanted to kill those using this technology. And of course, that was Organite, done by the great Satanist, Carl Hans Wells, who actually put out dangerous energies to kill people with this technology. And of course, I guess he was too stupid to understand that you're probably going to kill yourself, which is exactly what happened, and his wife and so many other Organite practitioners, which has nothing to do with real orgone, by the way. Orgone is interesting. Organite is just demon energies. Plain and simple, and anybody can test it, and anybody can find out yourself. It has nothing to do with me or anything else. I'm a very objective person, and I'm really into what works, but we also have to understand what the reality is out there. And there's really nothing that works out there other than my technology. Just as simple as that. Statement of fact. And if you don't believe that's your problem, go use their junk. And we'll write on your tombstone, I should have followed Dr. Thor. So the whole idea is that we have to understand this as a reality that we need to deal with. So, very bad. It shouldn't be very complicated, people. This should be very simple to understand. So, now, where do you get cameras? Now, my favorite camera, and because it's cheap, is the old Sharper Image, who are still in business. They've come back and they make different products. And here it is right here, the Sharper Image. And it looks like a regular camera. And all these run by battery powered. The film goes, these are empty right now, but the film, the Polaroid pops out of here and you use it just like a regular camera. It's as simple as that. Now, you don't have to take clear pictures. Generally, you just hold this in front of your face or in front of your chest area and you just click it. That's enough. It doesn't matter if it's not clear. You're picking up energies. You're not looking at the picture. Does everybody get that? The first thing I hear from well, try and get you don't need a clear picture. You just need a picture. You're picking up the energy, not the clarity. This is where we get into just kind of silliness. Here's a classic Instax 8 from Fuji. Fuji's been making these kind of Polaroid cameras, I don't know, it must be 25 years now. And they've slowly built up in popularity that there are many of them. There's so many models now that you can get out there that it's staggering that it's that popular. But apparently a lot of young people in particular like this. They use them at parties and everything else, particularly younger people. You'd say, kids have used these for years. Now it's turned into something that adults can use. And this is, by the way, this is fantastic for taking pictures of all energy forms, particularly ghosts, aliens. You want to take pictures of graveyards and other places, you use a Polaroid. This is when you're going to pick up stuff. And I picked up some amazing stuff. I actually picked up energy coming off of the famous Integratron in Giant Rock, California. They had poles in the ground around the Integratron to tap into energies, the grid energy. And was just mind-boggling. I actually took a picture of that from a distance, and I could see the energy coming off of the poles. Unfortunately, this photography was lost during one of the times of my persecution. So the whole idea is that the files were lost, many of them, unfortunately. But the bottom line is that it just shows you. Now, if you're in a graveyard or something, and it doesn't happen every time. I think I took 10 or 15 pictures of the integratron, and only one of them showed this. But what was interesting is it showed energy coming right off the pole, not near it, not to the side, right off that pole that was connected to the ground. Mind-boggling. But again, you're not going to just go there and take a picture of it and it comes up every time. Life ain't that simple, easy. And a lot may have to do with the operator itself. Are you able to tune into that? You know, you're nowhere near at the level of consciousness that I am. So it means you're not going to be able to pick up these things like I do, or be able to tune or anything else. That's why you have to use the right equipment, and you have to know what you're doing. You have to be properly trained. And where are all the properly trained people? What equipment do they have? What are they? None of them are out there. None of them have taken any courses anywhere. It's all fantasy. There are self-appointed experts with no years behind them and no training. They haven't, I've engineered this stuff. I've sold this stuff for years. I built the first radionic equipment that was basically metaphysical based off of very primitive designs because that was available then. Then we moved away from that. And we're getting into highly technical stuff, which has just been released now. And we are further developing it. But the only really major change in this entire field is what I've been producing here recently. And our very advanced Dragon Force unit will be coming out soon. But the bottom line is that's what it's about. But here's your typical one, and there's several of these. Generally, they look like this. I've got this sideways. This is what your typical Mini 8 looks like that's being sold for, 15, 20 years. And, of course, you've got the you open it up. Here's how you open it up. And then you just insert, and of course Polaroids are very easy. They come in a little box. You insert it in here, and you can see there's a yellow mark on the film, and then you insert it in. And I'll probably make some pictures of this cameras and how to use them in the future. But you insert it in, you close it, you're done. You click it, the blank comes out, and then you're ready to shoot. But generally, this camera goes like this. I've had this on the side. And there are a certain amount of focusing. As I said, you can get as fancy as you want. You don't have to. As I said, these run anywhere from about $60 to $80. The new Polaroids that are copies of the original Polaroids that give you a 4-inch by 4-inch picture, which was classic with the Polaroid. That's how everybody originally got them. They're copying those cameras, and they're great. They're so easy to use. You pop the film in there, you just press it on the top, and it pops out the front. And this is, of course, what the classics were all about. And they all worked great, and they do give you a fairly good picture. And all the film is ready now. You can even buy an old camera on eBay because they're making the film for that now. And sometimes, if you are aware, and if you get to there before all the other people get there after they see my videos, you could get a great bargain because nobody wants these, or they're unaware of how these things work now. But they're remaking them. They run about 125 to 150. And of course, the film has always been the problem with Polaroids. Now, I don't know if it costs that much to make it or not, but of course, Polaroid had to make its profit, and you make it in your film. So they generally run anywhere for 50 cents to $1 to take per shot. And of course, you can look for bargains, buy quantities, and get that price down. But, it depends on how much you're using. A lot of our systems do require you to have several Polaroid. You have to change the Polaroids about every 6 months when you're doing any kind of work. 6 months to a year, depending on what it is. And, all of our tech requires a Polaroid picture to be inserted in there, or even our books require that. So you're going to use these. So depending on how much you need, you can worry about that yourself and check out everything. Deals can usually be had in different places. You have to do the usual search on DuckDuckGo and find out who has the best offers there. You can also get used cameras, which I highly recommend. Generally, these cameras don't go bad. And of course, obviously some break. And of course, a camera like this, the sharper image, this didn't catch on. They just didn't sell. So there's a whole bunch of surplus of these cameras, new in the box, new sealed, everything else. And you can get these, I've seen them as cheap as $20. So, and you can get used ones for $25, $30. And this is just as good as this. There's no difference. The guts are all the same. Let's see if we can... Here we go. Let's open this one up and show you. Now this actually has a cartridge. Oh! I think there's even a film left in this, but you put this to this here, yellow to yellow. You stick it in there, you close it, that's it. You're done. Is that hard? I think even Peter Renetti can do that. Even a person who studied in the Psychotronic Association or the Radionic Institute, maybe they could figure that out. But I just showed you on a film here, so study that, and you'll find out how this kind of high tech goes, people. So the whole idea is that the reality of all this stuff has to be understood. So it's as simple as that. Now you've got an energy camera. Is everybody clear on that? It is not a photographic camera. You're not using this for archived pictures of grandma. Get that, youngums? So the whole idea is that that's what this is all about. So when you take this, and as I said, you just take something like this, you hold it at arm's length and take a picture of yourself. That's it. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's your head, your feet, or your monkeys. You can take a picture of your ear and put it there. It's the same thing. Your energy field is in every part of your body. You take it and that's it. Don't worry about how clear it is or anything else. You don't want to waste a film anyway, but you should be familiar with how it works. So you take a decent picture. But it doesn't matter as long as your image is on there. Clear, blurry, or perfect, it doesn't matter. The energy is in there because of the process I just told you. That energy, the photons, have go back into the camera, go into here, and stay there. They create a picture and they keep that energy there. Now, as you said, in regular film, that doesn't happen. They're getting rid of all the developer and everything else. You just get the finished form, which is basically what's on the other side of this. It's as simple as that. But there are so many now to choose from that it is kind of exciting to have those traditional cameras and the bigger pictures. Now, are there any benefits from bigger pictures? Now, even Fuji came out with a very large picture. This would be great to take of graveyards or sacred places to see if you can pick up those energy fields. So if you went to a graveyard and you have this very large, 6 by 4 inch picture that some of these cameras take, and you take a picture of that graveyard, this makes your chances of actually seeing some spirit phenomenon much better. And you'll see dots, you'll see little balls of energy, all sorts of things. This also could possibly, and there are many ways to modify your camera to pick up stuff like this that is only known to me, but the whole idea is so you can pick up things like aliens, spirits, energies coming out of vortexes. There's all sorts of things you can do. And sometimes people can get this all on their own without doing that. And of course, that is fun and exciting as well. So the bigger picture, because now the traditional Polaroid, I believe it's 4 inch by 4 inch. Now, these are, I'm not sure what this, I don't have my ruler on it. Now, this is about, 2 inches by, I think, 4 inches or so. Now, if you have 4 inches by 4 inches, you're talking about almost double the size of this, at least in width. And as such, you've got an awful lot of more energy there. And we're looking into right now, is that helpful? Now, it seems to me like everything in life, there are some just basic facts of life. And that is more of something allows you to increases the energy that's in there. So having a larger picture is probably something that is helpful in the process in the long run. I doubt if it's overly critical. But like everything else, we're dealing with very unusual energies here, and it may be very important to have a larger picture so you can analyze the energy in it better, particularly for newcomers and everything else. So this is all based on the fact of the cost of the film and everything else. A lot of times now that they make the film, you can buy an old used Polaroid camera on eBay, probably for under $20, and use it. So you have to be careful again. These cameras are very old. You have to make sure someone says they know they're working, etc., etc., the usual stuff, so you don't get ripped off. Ideally, if you're going to use this stuff all the time, get yourself a new camera. You can get yourself an Insta camera, you can get yourself one of these, or get the new Polaroid copies that are out there. If you're going to use it all the time, but there's nothing wrong with getting this camera for $25 to $30, and of course you're going to get this size film. There's certainly nothing wrong. This is what I've been using for many, many years, and it does the job well. So, more expensive, bigger. I mean, that's a very common way of thinking. It's really not value. Bigger isn't better. More isn't better. We think like that as a general species. This is just very low-level thinking that you've been brainwashed with. The energy is still in here. Now, you're going to have more of it if it's bigger. How crucial that is? Well, all of these things have to be further tested, and we will get back to people on that. The other thing is that none of these cameras work very well, even with using it. What you need is to have a camera activation disc. Now, built within, these are energy forms, and it's not just this here. There are many underneath here that we have placed in this unit. We have put a rate, as it's called in radionic vernacular, which is a number symbol. This is basically a symbol. It isn't 7, 8, 9. We're not counting here. This is a number symbol representing an energy field. So this represents an energy field that will change these cameras at the subatomic level to pick up scalar energies and to produce much more energetic pictures like this that you can use. All very important. And generally what you do is you place this camera on this and 24 hours before you use it, and it will transmutate the, and you put the film in there as well. You put the film in first, then you put this on there. So you're transmutating all of that so it picks up these energies. This really increases the effectiveness and brings the energy into the unit. Very important to have this as well. All these little steps, which I've taken years to research and test, really increase the effectiveness of everything. Plain and simple. Doing all the common stuff. Well, I won't charge my film or my camera. I'm just going to use it that way because I'm going to pick it. Well, you're picking up a lower grade of energy. This allows this camera at the subatomic level, it allows the energy in that we're seeking, those scalar waves, those non-electromagnetic waves that are everywhere but are very difficult to sense and grab. This brings them in stronger into the camera and allows the film to capture much more of it. I estimate that it's increasing the effectiveness of the photographs by 70%. It's quite a difference. So again, using everything, it's just like with our actual amplifiers here. Transmutated electronics. This isn't the amplifier that you just buy off the rack. This has been transmutated. We've transmutated it from the inside out with our new USB. And of course, it has a disc underneath there as well that transmutes it from the outside in. Using regular electronics is just genius. And what you do is you have to transmutate them. You have to repurpose them. And the whole idea, since we're dealing with energy, we don't have to go in there and mess with the internal electronics. We don't need to add things to it. We already have all the great scalar grabbers. 7 tubes in this. There's a preamp built in this, and we're even using transistors. We're even using transistors here. This is a very hybrid unit with tubes, transistors, and of course the entire transmutation process. This is genius. Learn to repurpose so you don't have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars building everything up from scratch. For what reason? These are doing a great job. This has a preamp built into it. It's picking up those subtle resonances through these 7 tubes. You've got transistors in the back. This is a fantastic amplifier. But again, it's amplifying common energies. You have to transmute the electronics so that it picks up the scalar energy, the non-electromagnetic resonances, to do that. And of course, you have the tools that can do it, the tubes. But the tubes by themselves have to be transmuted. So I cover every base, and this is, of course, exactly what I love to do. Is you repurpose something, you have tubes, and you always have the back. What does a transistorized amplification do? Well, we're not sure with that. Why not throw it in? So if there is a slight electromagnetic field that helps, well, we're going to be using that as well. That's called genius. That's called great engineering. And of course, you only get that from good old Dr. Tour. You want old garbage, go to your local representatives of the common trash out there. And that common trash makes you a common trash user. You could call yourself a trash eater. It's as simple as that. And it is a very complicated process that I've worked out over the last 45 years. And of course, I have been defining into this whole new tech in the last 3 or 4 years that we're still defining. Transmutating from the inside out, and from the outside in, using what are energy disks like this that have numbers that represent energy fields. It has sigils like this in it. These, again, produce their own energy. And there's just not one. In this disk, there's probably 10 or 15 images, and they're stacked on top of each other. And then, of course, in the back, well, what we do is we even input certain frequencies, usually musical tones, special sigils, etc., that are grabbed in there as well. And we also charge up these are charged on a particular radionic machine where we actually charge into the tube the frequencies that stay there to grab scalar waves. I do this with my special machinery in a method only known for me. So again, we've transmutated the transmutating thing. So this has to be, it's not just the programs that are on here, which are special ones, but it's what's been done to this USB as well. So it's all like that, just as these are multi-layers. There's all sorts of things in here that are only known to off-world tech. And of course, basically I'm off-world tech, and all through my invention and through my many years of research and that I've done, as well as owning about 45 radionic machines going back 100 years, as well as watching everything. And, you know, we've made them, I've engineered them. All of this is very unique to this organization. So we'll end that for now. This should cover everything. Until next time.